What's up? My name is Zach Gerber, and I'm here to help you make better sounding music. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to use panning and leveling to take your mixes from cluttered to spacious. If you're ready, let's dive into Pro Tools and check it out. Hi. So what we have here is we have a brand new mix. What I've done is I have color-coded everything. So purple is my drums, brown is bass, green is acoustic guitars, and so on and so forth. And I have bussed everything to my auxiliaries so that all of my drums terminate on this channel, all of my basses terminate on this channel, and so on and so forth through the entire mix, all the way through the vocals. But what you will notice is that there's no plugins on this mix. Zero plugins. The only thing here is this span plugin and this meter plugin, but those only are a real-time analyzer. So span's a real-time analyzer that shows me the frequency spectrum of my mix. And then this just shows me how loud my mix is. None of these plugins have anything to do with modifying the sound at all. So this is kind of my starting point. And when you play a mix like this, everything is at zero. This is how it comes to me. It sounds god awful. And that's how mixes come to me. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to pan and level things so that it sounds like a song, at which point we would then step into beginning to EQ, saturate, etc. So the first thing that I do, I have a group here with all of my audio tracks. I'm going to turn all of them down to zero. So now when I click play, you hear beautiful, beautiful silence. I'm just kidding. But what this does is it gives us an entirely blank canvas. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to start at the beginning of the instrumentation, which is drums, and we're going to work all the way through the vocals, and we're going to get a level for everything, and we're going to begin to pan things out to fill the stereo space. So let's get started. Oh, one more thing. The other thing that I've done is I've created some groups. So for instance, my drum kit is in a group here, or I can turn this drums group off and turn up just my kicks. Or sorry, that's my snare. This is a kick. Here's a snare moving together. My toms will move together. That just helps me work a little bit quicker. You don't have to do this, but I suggest doing it. Keeps you organized, and it just helps you, if you get through all of your instrumentation and you go, oh shoot, you know what, my drums are now buried. You can just turn on your drums group, move those faders, and it's a lot quicker than moving each individual fader. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to go through the process and we'll see where we end up. So let's bring all these drums up. Let's go to a chorus. Okay. Now I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to bring down these overheads and rooms. Let's just get kick and snare going. So this is my snare. My snare bottom's a little bit loud. I think my snare is loud in general. Cool. Now let's push in these overheads. This sounds nice. There was a tom fill. I just saw a tom fill happen. Let's go back to that section. Okay, cool. So here's a moment where we can talk about panning. So if you think about a drum kit, there's two approaches that you can take to a drum kit. Some people like to take it from the audience perspective, but because I play drums, I like to mix my drums from a drummer's perspective, sitting behind the kit. Because then when I listen to the drums, it feels like I'm a drummer sitting at the drum kit. Drums was my first instrument. I'm obsessed with drums. They're so fun. So on a drum kit, Generally speaking, the rack tom, which is the first tom in this, we have a rack tom right here and a floor tom here. The rack tom is going to be on the left and the floor tom is going to be on the right. We're going to take this rack tom and we're going to pan it out. Let's try 45 degrees to the left, and then this floor tom 85 degrees to the right. And let's listen to that same drum fill. Sounds more natural. Hey, sorry to interrupt. If you are getting value out of this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know every single time I drop a new video. I would really appreciate it. But I'm certain you were doing something super important, so I'm going to let you get back to it. I'm going to turn this rack tom down a bit. It's a little bit louder. It's feeling pretty good. What's next? Hi-hats. Hi-hats, from a drummer's perspective, is going to be on the drummer's left-hand side, generally speaking. So I'm going to take this because the hi-hat's all the way over here. I'm going to pan it all the way over to the left. And let's find a chorus where he's playing the hi-hat. Cool. What do we got here? What is this? Close rooms and far rooms. Okay. Here's a moment to do something controversial. Sometimes when you are working on music, you end up with too many tracks. When you're recording stuff, you want to prioritize making sure that there's lots there to work with. I often get to mixing and throw some sources out. So here we have close rooms and far rooms. Let's take a listen to them. These are the close rooms. And those are the far rooms. I think the far rooms sound infinitely cooler than the close rooms. I'm going to take these close rooms and just get rid of them and not even use them. So let's take these room mics and push them into our drum kit sound. They sound awesome. These drums were recorded so well. Whoever did this engineering, fabulous. Awesome. We got a shaker here. That feels cool. Got a tambourine track. Where's this tambourine play? Here we go. I'm gonna turn these down just a touch. What do we got here? A triangle. Cool. On to bass guitar. I'm going to re-engage this drum channel now that I have, this drum group. Now that I have a basic mix of my drums, I can take all of them, turn them up and down. So let's get this back to where it was. This triangle's a little loud. Let's listen to some bass guitar. And then what is this here? So it looks like two bass signals. We've got a bass amp and a bass amp duplicate. So just two slightly different bass sounds. I'm just going to leave them together. We'll make them both the same level. Do I have a bass group? Nope, I missed making a bass group. Now we have a bass group. Let's bring these in. Cool. And again, I want to put an emphasis here. We're working quick and we're not really overly concerned about what happens at the stage. We're just getting a rough balance and then we'll go through and we'll fine tune. So let's keep moving through into acoustics. Oh, we got an acoustic group on. Let's turn that off. There we go. Cool, it's vibing. What's this one doing? Okay. A little pulsing. Ooh, that's cool. So, what I'm noticing right away, this particular layer, very boomy. So I have to bring that back a lot. But this is playing in a different register. That cuts through really nicely. So we're going to use that to create a little bit of movement. And the cool thing about this phase of the mix is that we're not thinking about, oh, this guitar is really boomy, I got to modify this guitar. We're thinking about what is already here that we can utilize to fill the right space now. And I like starting this way because you end up making less mix, EQ, compression moves down the road and just allow the production to be what it is by leveling and panning first. I love that. Okay, what do we got here? Where is this one? Let's listen to this. Cool, so we got an acoustic playing in the center and another acoustic playing. Let's just, for the fun of it, keep them out of the way of each other and pan this one off a little bit to the side. Now they're each taking up their own space. Moving on, we have some electric guitars. Let's listen to them. Okay. This is probably... And then we got another rhythm guitar here. What is this doing? Okay, so we have one guitar here. This has a lot of low end in it. I'm going to keep this guitar in the center because I don't want the low end to spill out into the sides too much. I just want the low end to kind of stay in one place. That's where the bass guitar is. That's where the kick drum is. This particular electric guitar has a lot of low end in it. I'm going to leave it in the center. So let's push this one in first. It creates a cool distortion on top of the bass guitar here. So those two are kind of working together. I'm going to take these other two guitars, I'm going to put them in a group, and I'm going to pan these out all the way. And this is cool because if we notice, these come in the pre-chorus and then really crash in at the chorus here. So these are like a chorus push guitar. By spreading them all the way out, we're going to create a lot more stereo image when the chorus hits, which is going to make the chorus feel bigger than the verses. Check this out. Nice. Bring these back just a little bit. Check it out, when these slap in, the whole thing's going to get wider. I guess we should back up a little bit. They come in here. So already we've created movement in the mix before ever reaching for an EQ or compressor, just by choosing to take those guitars and pan them out. Moving forward, what do you sound like? Hear this one here. So another layer that's going to fit into these. Because I already have one left and one right, I'm going to leave this one in the center. Kind of like this other guitar here that had a lot of low end, just to add a texture on top of the bass guitar. Cool. Let's look at some lead guitars. Lead guitars are yellow. So this is... So this looks like it plays in the intro, a little bit through the verse, but this is probably going to play around my vocal and speak when the vocal isn't speaking. So I'm going to leave this in the center as a focal point in the mix. Let's turn this acoustic group back on and turn these down just a touch, and I'm going to make a rhythm electric group because I feel like these have gotten loud too. Cool. Cool. Next lead. Okay. This is going to be playing at the same time as my chorus vocal. I'm going to leave that center space for my chorus vocal. I'm going to take this and just throw it out to a side. We got some more guitars here to maybe balance it out. And we got a solo. What's happening here? So the solo I pre-routed because there's multiple, this is solo, solo low, solo high, solo harmony. There's multiple portions to this solo. I'm going to turn them all up. That's these guys here. I took all of these and just bust them to one solo channel so that I can turn all of the guitars, creating the guitar solo up and down with one fader. I'm just going to make a group called, oh, I already have a solo group here. Here, solo. Let's push these up and see what they sound like. Let's go ahead to where the solo actually is. So there's 4 layers to the solo. Let's blend them just using the faders. So we're not mixing the EQ of each individual channel. We're just making an overall solo sound with the faders. So we have that line, an octave below, an octave up, and that's a harmony. So let's get a balance of the first one and the lower octave, the octave up, and then the harmony. And again, they're all bussed to this fader. Let's unsolo them now and push them into the mix at a realistic level. Cool, moving on. What do we got? We got a whirly. I love whirlies. That creates a cool pulse through the verse here. Okay, moving on. Piano. So, looks like we got a piano and an organ that play at the same time every time they play. Let's get a blend of those two together. And I'm going to make a piano organ group and push them in together. Cool. Moving on. We have a bass arpeggiator. What does that sound like? Fun. Let's push that in. What do we got here? Wow. Ooh, okay, so check this out. This guitar channel up here is called a fake Moog, and this is the one that we threw over to the left-hand side. Now we have a real Moog. Very similar too. So we're going to use those in tandem with each other. We've taken this guitar and we've put it out to the left. Let's take this Moog, throw it all the way out to the right. So now they balance each other. That's the other thing that we're trying to do when we're panning and leveling is we're trying to spread things out, but not in a way that makes our mix lopsided, like there's too much on the left side or too much on the right side. So let's get a balance of these two. There's some panning automation here that I need to get rid of. They balance each other. Nice. That's awesome. Coarse arpeggiator. Next, we got stabby crickets. These are all synths. All this kind of purpley red stuff is synths, which Francie, who sent me this song, is absolutely a wizard with. All of his productions come with so many layers of synth, and they're so fun to play with. So great opportunity to play with really cool stuff whenever I get these productions. How fun is that? Like, I would never think to produce those two sounds together. It's just so brilliant. What do we got next? Whatever this is. Hook enhancer synth. Okay, these are, what are these here? Okay, so these are all these blue are effects. So they're not like main instruments, they're just kind of added noise. I'm going to take this opportunity now that I've created a blend of my instruments to pop over to this plugin here. Again, this is not modifying the sound in any way. This is just showing me a real-time analyzer of what my mix looks like. And I use this, I check in with this every so often just to make sure I'm not doing anything stupid. So let's have a look at this and see what it's saying. Okay, so this is good. And the reason this is good is because we've got a fairly flat, now we're a little heavy on the low end, but we've got a fairly flat representation across the spectrum. That's what we're looking for. We do have some bumps here, which is probably, that's kick drum. That sounds like some acoustic guitars here. But what this tool does is it shows me an overall picture of what my mix looks like. And if I'm doing anything stupid, like let's say, I don't know, I'd forgotten to turn my sub on and turned my bass guitar all the way up like this, and I didn't notice, I could flip over here and go, oh my goodness, why is the low end of the mix so much higher than the top end of the mix? It would tell me that I was making a mistake somewhere. Let's put this back. Cool. Let's blend in some of these effects. So right off the top, we have this input jack sound. We don't have to think too hard about that. It's just a little effect like plugging in a guitar. And now we have all of these DJ scratches. So let's see what these sound like. I've got these two DJ scratches in a group. Fun. What's next? We've got this pitched riser. Again, this is why Francie is so creative at his productions. He's got all these little extra ear candy pieces that I wouldn't necessarily think to add going into a course. But if you put this in the mix, this right here, it just adds such a cool energy to that transition into the chorus. So they're really fun to play with. We've got this creepy swell. This is something that shows up over a lot of his productions. I love this sound. Cool. Let's blend that. Nice. Moving on. Epic Riser. Sweet. What do we got next? What do we got next? White noise. Kind of like an extra cymbal energy. Cool. Moving through. What do we got here? Sci-fi build. Take these guitars. Push them around a little bit. Okay. Let's go to vocals. Let's start with this lead vocal.
What's the plot? I've been writing this show for way too long. The story got thin like the good guys win.
This brings up an interesting question that I hear a lot of people struggle with. How loud should something be? And that's actually sometimes a tricky thing to figure out. So in this case, how loud should a lead vocal be in the context of a mix? And I know that we're only in the first stage here of just getting everything up and getting a feel for it, but I want to do my best to place this vocal in the correct spot, the correct volume in the context of all of the music so that it's sitting in the right place. How do you determine how loud that is? There is a very, very simple solution that I consider essentially a cheat code, and it is using reference tracks. So all of these tracks here are just other songs that I've listened to that I have come to love that I know sound awesome. And unfortunately, because of copyright issues and YouTube videos and all of that sort of stuff, I can't actually play any of these songs for you, or else I could get the video taken down. But what I'm going to do is all of these songs, I'm going to link them in the description below as my reference material, and you can go to them to listen to some of the mixes that I use to try to answer questions like, how loud should the vocal be? Well, I just pop open one of my references and I listen to the vocal against the music, and then I go back and I listen to mine and I go, oh my goodness, this vocal that I'm mixing is way too loud. That's why it sounds weird. And I turn it down. Or I'll pop into another song when I'm mixing the instruments and go, wow, oh my goodness, the music in this song is mixed so much brighter than what I'm mixing right now. Maybe I need to go back and turn up the signals or the cymbals. Maybe I need to go back and add a little bit more top end to the guitars. I bounce in and out of reference tracks constantly to help keep me on the path toward where I'm trying to go with a mix. It's a little bit like an artist. Like if you imagine an artist who's painting a landscape, well, they could paint the landscape and only look at the canvas and then forget what the landscape looks like. But what they do is they paint a little bit of their canvas and then they look over at the landscape and they go, oh yeah, the tree looks like this, or it's this color, and then they mix the green for the leaves and make the leaves. We're doing the same thing here, but with reference tracks. We're mixing our song, and then every so often we're popping back into a professionally recorded, super, super well-produced piece of music and listening to that to refamiliarize ourselves with the landscape of what a properly mixed and mastered and recorded track should sound like. So I will link all of these references below, but I'll do stuff like open up Span, the same plugin I was using to look at my frequency spectrum, and I'll look at their frequency spectrums and go, oh, there is a little bump in this range of frequencies when the vocal comes in. Maybe that's where I need to sit my vocal. I'm always checking in and out of these reference tracks to keep me on the path toward an awesome mix. But I can't play them for you because YouTube will take my video down. So let's just do a little bit of guesswork and we'll put these vocals in. So here we go. lead vocal.
You could say I lost the. I've been writing this show for way too long. The story got thin.
So that sounds pretty good. What do we got here? We got just some ad-libs at the end. Let's take the ad-libs and throw them out a little bit to one side just to create a little bit of space for this main vocal to continue to sit in the center of that mix. Cool. We got doubles. So doubles, if you don't know, a lot of times in productions, we'll have a lead vocal in the center, and then in the bigger moments of the song, we'll record another lead vocal to put on the left side and another lead vocal to put on the right side. We've done that here, and I have this stereo track of doubles and triples, and so they're already panned all the way out. They sound like this.
I've been making changes. Someone call my.
Exact same line as the lead vocal, but what it does is it takes, in those big moments like choruses, the vocal from sitting just in the center of the mix to spreading out across the entire mix. So let's listen to that in the pre-chorus, where there's only a lead vocal, going into the chorus, where there's the lead with the doubles.
Active protagonist, gotta find a new groove. I've been making changes.
That's a nice energy. Let's listen to that in the context of the mix.
Active protagonist, gotta find a new groove. I've been making changes. Someone call
Cool. What do we got here? This is a low double, so another layer of lead.
Making changes. Someone.
We're gonna sit this right in the center. We've got the main doubles panned all the way out, and we're gonna sit the octave right below this main lead vocal.
Making changes. Someone call my agent. Trying to find that new twist that I've been dreaming of.
Sounds awesome. Okay, let's go to this channel called Main Harms and push that up.
The story got thin like the good.
So these main harms have been sung twice, and they are panned all the way out. Why would we produce it like that? The reason being is the entire time I am mixing, I am creating a landscape to put the vocal in the center in your face, the lead vocal. So instead of singing one harmony to sit in the center on top of the lead vocal, we have sung two harmonies to pan out to spread around the lead vocal. It's a really, really, really popular production move that I am absolutely behind and think everyone should be doing.
Too long, the story got thin like the good guys win.
Imagine that was just in the center. So we've panned that to the center.
Too long, the story got thin like the good guys win.
It's kind of fighting that lead vocal. But if we pan it all the way out.
Too long, the story got thin like the good guys win. Every week it's the same.
Beauty. Let's go here. We got high harmonies.
Active protagonist.
Okay, let's layer those in. Again, it's a left and a right, which is why this is in stereo, leaving these panned all the way out just to create space for that lead vocal.
An active protagonist, but I'm done with you. I've been making.
Cool. Let's go on to this mono harmony. So there is a mono harmony that's going to sit in the center. You'll notice that it's only in a few select places because we don't want to sit on top of that lead vocal too much. But let's see what this sounds like.
It changes, someone. It changes. It changes. Someone call my agent. Trying to find that new for a new start. Ready for.
These mono harmonies and a lot of these vocal layers end up getting pushed down because, again, I want to always be creating space for the lead vocal, and I'm going to use all of these harmony vocals and doubles and layers just to add energy around that lead vocal as support. So next we have stereo ahs. So this is like a BG vocal.
My friend's been asking where I've been for so long.
So just a layer out on the outsides to create a little bit of extra effect.
My friend's been asking where I've been for so long.
Okay, that's good. What do we got here? So I think mono ah. So there's two on the outside and one on the inside.
My friend's been asking where I've been for so long. I've been
So I'm going to keep those nice and low again because I want nothing on top of my lead vocal. There can never, ever be anything on top of my lead vocal. We got some gang vocals, my favorite.
It's been paying off. Aching for a new start.
So
Ready for a spin-off.
that is a pre-affected, kind of pre-mixed stereo grouping of multiple voices. So that's already been recorded in multiple layers and summed down into one stereo channel. I'm just going to leave those panned all the way out for, maybe I'm sounding like a broken record, but for the purpose of keeping that lead vocal in the center in your face. And notice when I'm pushing things in, I'm always starting at 0, pushing it up, maybe too far, and then tucking it back just to get a feel. I don't know why I do that. I've just found like that is the most effective way to get a balance.
It's been paying off. Aching for a new start. Ready for a spin-off. My real friends all know it 'cause they're
That adds a cool
singing along.
And we have voiceover. So there's a voiceover at the end. I'm not sure what to do with that yet, but we'll just kind of leave it there and figure it out at the end of the mix. And now we have a fully panned out, fully leveled mix to work off of. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop back over one more time to my reference tracks. Again, I can't play those for you, but I'm going to listen through a couple of those tracks, get a feeling for how much low end, how much high end is in a properly produced piece of music. I'm going to listen to some of the balances, how loud are the drums, how loud are the vocals. And then I'm just going to go back through my mix and make some final changes. And then at that point, I will load on all of my plugins and all of my presets and begin affecting individual stems to make this mix more exciting and bigger and more balanced and more vibrant and all of those things. But what we have achieved right here is we have a level, spacious mix with music that supports the lead vocal, which is the most important piece. And if I just pop into span,
Real friends all know it 'cause they're singing along. I've been making changes.
you've got a decently flat spectrum here. I'm pretty happy with this. And that's my starting point. I start every single mix I do this way, and it just really sets me up to succeed and gives me context as I go through and individually edit each individual stem in a mix. Thank you so much for being here and checking out this video on panning and leveling. If you want to know how to mix a song from start to finish in just 5 simple steps, go grab my free 5-step workflow for making a great mix. It's going to teach you the exact same workflow I use every single time I sit down to mix a song. The download link is in the description below. And one more time, thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one. Say bye, Scarlett. You would like your food, wouldn't you?